will come with enough.
That's right.
The next item.
I'll ask you a few kids.
The next item we have listed this evening is our preschool expansion presentation from Mr. Betts as well as Mr. Peters and Mr. Coven will be assisting. So if you guys want to go ahead and
Ready to go?
start with that, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. What you're going to see tonight is a proposal that the administration is putting forth that would expand our preschool program to a free full-day program starting as early as September. We know that we raised a lot of questions on social media with this invitation. Hopefully we're here tonight to answer a lot of those questions, and if you have questions that don't get answered, please feel free to come out and see me afterwards, shoot me an email. We're all on the same page here, and we all really have delved really deeply into what this program is and how it can work here in Franklin Township. I'm joined tonight by my two esteemed colleagues, Mr. Peters, Mr. Ritter. He has a background in grant writing and project management and has been influential in getting this application up and running. And Mr. Kovic is, of course, the principal here at Janvier. We're about to really change his building, and Mr. Kovic is here to explain the ins and outs, because he knows every nook and cranny and bolt of this building and what's going to work and not work. So this is a proposal from the administration. We've met together a number of times, including Ms. Golden, Mr. Verso, our transportation coordinator, Ms. Birmingham up there, and we've put forth what we believe is the best plan in moving this forward and creating this preschool expansion for Franklin Township schools. So this proposal tonight outlines what it would take to implement PIA, that's preschool expansion aid, here in Franklin Township for school year 2025, aimed at enhancing early childhood education by providing a free full-day preschool program for 3 and 4-year-olds. Now, I've had some experience in doing this before in 2 previous districts. This program, when implemented, not only has the chance of changing the school district, but it also permeates through the community. It raises property values. People want to move into the town to receive free preschool for the 3 and 4-year-olds. It also has a profound impact on the academic success of the children that come through these doors every single day, moving forward into the future. It's that powerful a program, which is why we really think it should be here in Franklin Township. This presentation will be posted on our website. We put a table of contents in there so you can jump around and see what you want to look at. But we've broken this down into 3 phases. There's a phase 4 that we mentioned, but that is really often for the future. Tonight we're going to talk about the 3 phases that we are proposing for PA here in Franklin Township. So executive summary, I'll quickly read it to you. Beginning in September 2025, the district will launch the first phase of a free full-day preschool program, ultimately for our total universe of approximately 360 students over the next 5 years in a mixed delivery system. So let me stop right there. You get 360 prospective students by looking at your first grade number and doubling it. You double it because there are 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and you come to 360 approximately. And a mixed delivery system means that these classrooms are just not here in our buildings, but we can also use private providers around the township. Trinity Academy, the Presbyterian Church, other public schools that are nearby. It doesn't have to be right here within our buildings, although the first few phases that we're proposing are right here in Janvier. The program utilizes existing school buildings and eventually local providers and local classrooms. We'll get into that in a bit. And it is only available to Franklin and Newfield children. Why Newfield? We are receiving districts in Newfield. We receive about $2 million in tuition from Newfield, and legally we we are obligated to offer this program to those Newfield students because of that tuition connection that we have.
So we ask ourselves, why preschool? Posted up here, we have a national piece of research that really strengthens the importance of research, and especially with preparing students. This particular study identified the difference in students who are able to read proficiently as well as proficiently computate math. And it noticed that 13% of students were scoring higher in their reading, 8% higher in math, just by the end of 3rd grade. And these were the difference between students who went through a part-time preschool and also a full-time preschool program. Taking a look at our own district data, Ms. Dolden last month presented some academic data. And within that, we looked at the amount of students in kindergarten, kids who start here at Janvier, when they take their initial iReady assessment. And when they take their initial iReady assessment, the September of kindergarten, we noticed that this particular group of students, 88% of the students scored 1 grade level below where they should be in mathematics, and 83% scored below where they should be, 1 grade level below where they should be in reading. That is what we have coming in. Now, we also have to take in consideration not just the academic preparation, but also that social acclimation, what it's like to work with one another, what it's like to be in a more structured setting. There's a lot going on, especially those initial months of kindergarten. Wouldn't it be nice to have some preparation before that? There, the students in 3 and 4 can get prepared. They can get acclimated to being a jackrabbit, to being here within the very school where they're about to have a couple more years of some really pivotal education. So some caveats to consider. This is an aggressive timeline that we're going to be putting in front of you. But the kids are only 3 and 4 one time. There's a lot of growth, socially, intellectually, that a 3 and 4-year-old have within that 1 year of age. There's a tremendous amount of growth. We don't want to delay that. We know that they're coming into our district. Okay? They could either come in prepared or ill-prepared. Well, we'd much rather have them come in prepared. We want them to be prepared to be successful here as they go throughout our district and then eventually move on. As we explore the preschool expansion aid, it's important to acknowledge that not only the opportunities that present ourselves, but also some challenges that we're going to have to anticipate and also plan for. We are very optimistic about a successful application to the New Jersey Department of Education, and with their anticipated approval, likely around the end of August, we're going to be in a pretty tight time frame for implementation. That means that we're going to have to move quite quickly on several fronts. That's also why we're being quite proactive with coming out now, several months before we even submit an application, in order to talk about our plans, our ideas, and different strategies moving forward. It also allows us to have a plan set forth, so that the minute we receive, and hopefully receive, the information that we're able to proceed forward, we can indeed do so. We're making sure, especially through our administrative team, that we are all on the same page. That's why we have had many meetings together, many conversations, meeting also with our teachers, support staff earlier today, and then ultimately with all of you in our community tonight. Hiring personnel will be one of our top priorities. This would include the Director of Early Childhood Education, certified preschool teachers, instructional assistants, and all those people need to be recruited, hired, vetted, and onboarded with professional learning in a relatively quick time frame. Alongside with staffing, we need to acquire essential resources. We need to be able to identify the curriculum to be used for our preschool program, the curricular materials, the training for the curriculum that has been chosen for the preschool program, age-appropriate furniture, getting playground equipment for the preschool students, This is a pretty huge undertaking. And once again, that's why we're moving in this pattern that you see tonight, where many things have already been discussed, hopefully relatively planned out, and we have strategy moving forward. The additional aid will offer a tremendous opportunity to expand access to early childhood education, but we're going to be proactive with addressing this. Now, some objectives. It will be a phased implementation, and Mr. Kobik's going to explain a lot of the aspects of the phased implementation in just a few short moments, especially as he describes where the potential phased implementation will occur. But as Mr. Betts said, we're looking at approximately in total, and this is by the end of the different phased enrollment, 360 eligible students. And we'll have up to 5 years for that to occur. Hopefully, it will occur much sooner than those 5 years. We will have an equitable enrollment, so we will utilize a lottery system current to our preschool lottery system in order to ensure fair access to available seats within the preschool program. The housed preschool classrooms will be within our current school buildings, especially in the initial phases, while deploying mobile classrooms to accommodate the non-preschool classes and grade levels that might be in consideration here. Mr. Kobik, as I said, will explain this in much greater detail in just a few short moments. Community partnerships. The preschool expansion aid mandates that we have to reach out to community partners in order to see if they would like to work with us. And work with us in the sense of us basically housing our preschool students in their facilities. And this would be housing the preschool students in their facilities. It would be a Township of Franklin Schools teacher. It would be a Franklin Township instructional aide. It would be the same curricular resources. It would be the same amount of time that any student here within Janvier that's in preschool is attending. They would be attending school for the same amount of time if they were at an outside facility. Unfortunately, we have already sent out letters to see if there is any potential interest. We did not receive any initial responses. But we're not going to just stop with that. If we do receive this additional aid, we definitely foresee reaching back out to those different entities, different businesses within the community to see if there would be any further interest in the future. And lastly, we want to provide a quality education. We want to provide the quality education that we're proud of day in and day out within our schools. What I just got done explaining, what two wonderful teachers within our district just got done explaining in the communications update. We want to provide what you just heard there to every single one of our students, pre-K, pre-K 3, all the way through grade 6. And that's why we are looking at the strategic plan for a rollout for this program. We don't want to just get the grant and say, okay, now what? We received the aid. We want to make sure we have a plan that's ready to go, a plan of action that we can set forth on in order to move forward. So the preschool expansion aid provides us a lot of different resources. And we'll see this slide a little bit later. This is actually a snapshot of a table that we've included in the actual aid proposal. And you can see the 4 different phases that we have listed here. Initially, we're going to start off quite small and purposefully. We want to expand, but we want to expand in a very manageable amount. Mr. Kobik, like I said, will talk about the actual expansion. What I want to highlight before Mr. Kobik talks about that point is the other aspects beyond just the physical facilities. The Department of Ed mandates that our preschool program utilize one of a few different curricular options. The curricula that we are investigating for the preschool program is being done by Mrs. Dolden in the curriculum department. And she is investigating pretty much down to 2 different possibilities, both the creative curriculum and also tools of the mind as the possible curricular options for the preschool program. The expansion aid also provides a comprehensive amount of state aid in order to fully fund all aspects of this preschool program. This would include the full funding of additional personnel. We will have a director of early childhood education. There would be an executive assistant for preschool, an additional nurse, preschool instructional coaches, so looking directly at the professional learning for the preschool teachers and the preschool aides in order to ensure that they understand both the requirements of the state as well as the curriculum that they're going to be delivering, and also preschool intervention and referral specialists. In some ways, think of them as counselors. In other ways, they would be an intermediary prior to a child being referred to the child study team. So they could be used in a few different ways. Initially, we would start off with one, what we'll call the PIC, or the preschool instructional coach, and one PERS, that would be the intervention and referral specialist. Eventually, due to the projected numbers, once we get up to the full amount of students, we would be looking at having 2 of those individuals. So you would see a gradual increase.
And those positions are mandated by the program.
Yes. It is a very scripted set of requirements for this program set forth by the Department of Education, such as the number of students that are allowed in each classroom. We will not be able to have any more than 15 students per preschool classroom. Each preschool classroom would have a certified preschool teacher and also an instructional aide. So that is what we are looking at as far as the personnel elements. Phase 1, okay? Mr. Kobick will mention as far as the locations for Phase 1, but I do want to make mention first that this would start with the hiring and initial professional development of 2 additional preschool teachers, okay? And this would also be following the hiring of our preschool director. Mr. Kobick will get into the classroom locations, but I do want to make mention as far as the lottery, because I'm sure that is a huge question out there. Students, we currently have a lottery going on right now. It ends in just a few short days. That lottery is for the program for preschool that we currently know of. And we currently are planning for what we have traditionally been offering, and that is the part-time or the half-day preschool program. What we are proposing tonight is purely a proposal. What we are certainly hoping to receive as far as state aid, but there is no guarantee that we are receiving this with state aid. We meet the requirements, but it is still up to the state of New Jersey for us to officially receive that additional aid. So we have to plan for hopefully what will occur in the future, but we also have to be realistic and plan for what we know right now. And that is why we're having our traditional preschool lottery. The lottery will go through there in early June as indicated on the application, and different seats will be selected. If we receive this aid, hopefully we do, we then will reach out to the individuals who have a seat in the actual Janvier classrooms for the half-day lottery-based preschool program, as well as the individuals who are placed there for being classified by our child study team. We will offer them the option for the full-day program. If they decline, there will be an end date, and they will then no longer be part of our preschool program. We'll assume that they accept the free full-day preschool program. They will have first priority of the seats. We're not going to have a kid who's currently in our schools as a jackrabbit and then tell them that they're no longer a part of that program. Any additional remaining seats will be filled by a new lottery. So it won't matter what number on the waiting list per se you might be for the current lottery for the part-time program. There will be a brand new lottery, a new listing as far as what place you are on that lottery list for the full-day program. And we obviously would fully advertise this, making sure that the community know. You probably see yard signs and flyers all over the place. So That is how the lottery system will operate. The full-day lottery will be picked the same manner that our half-day lottery is determined. Be very open, straight to the public, and like I said, similar process to what we currently operate with, but it would be a different lottery for the option to fill those remaining seats for the full-day program. Now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
You're welcome.
Excellent. So, as you can see, and as Mr. Peters and Mr. Betts outlined, it's a comprehensive plan that we have that we're proposing here tonight. You can see at the second bullet, the first phase, 4 classrooms of 15 students each. Currently, Janvier runs 4 half-day sessions. So, as Mr. Peters just described in the lottery, and as you stay with me in terms of the numbers and the maps that I'm about to show you, so we're expanding those 4 certainly into a full-day program. Currently, we have 47 students that are enrolled in our pre-K program. So here you can see that the max for phase 1 is 60 students. Now, in order for that to occur with the full day, because we currently have 2 preschool classrooms, we need to up that to 4 classrooms because now we have 4 full-day programs. So the initial plan for phase 1 is to take our music room and also our art room and turn them into first grade classrooms, not pre-K. All right, and there are a few thoughts. One of them is regarding logistics, as I'm about to show you, in terms of where pre-K will be located, and also making sure that bathrooms for pre-K students are within the classrooms. You know, one piece for me to bring up, and it was touched upon briefly, but that question, and it was alluded to about mobile classrooms. And as you'll see as we go through the different phases, you know, the rollout of mobile classrooms. But the funding does not allow for pre-K students to be placed into mobile classrooms. So as a result, first grade, second grade, and so forth, they can move into a mobile classroom, pre-K cannot. When we look at implementation plan phase 2, and there as the timeline existed on the chart 2 slides previous, you know, we're shooting for that old phrase of shoot for the moon, land among stars. You know, have an aggressive timeline, strive to meet that timeline, set that bar high to get as many kids into school as soon as we can in an organized manner as possible. So the goal of expanding to 150 students by January 2026 through late spring or September 2026 as the mobile classrooms come online. It is a running process. It's not necessarily something, well, by this date it's this, and then this date it moves. So that's why you see with number 1 there's flexibility along those dates. However, a requirement of the funding is that there's a logical progression of rollout that is continuous. Rollout of additional students is contingent on the hiring, training, and mobile classrooms becoming available. And that's where it is a controlled rollout, making sure that the hiring process is occurring with validity. We're bringing in outstanding preschool teachers, outstanding aides, making sure that they're trained, they're brought up to speed on curriculum training, as well as all the other trainings that all teachers within our district go through, including school safety training. Then, of course, resources, everything from furniture to curricular materials. And then, of course, the mobile classrooms themselves, making sure that they are in line with all of the communication capabilities that we have right here in the main school. Also making sure that we have security, the camera systems, the intercom systems, the door swipe systems. Everything has to exist the same as we have in a regular school. Then there's that question of, well, you're talking about mobile classrooms. What do they look like? And I'll tell you, that was one of my questions. all right, not only as an educator here in the township, but also as a taxpayer who lives down the street. What are we looking to bring in here? And taking a look, 4 slides were chosen to give an eyeball. These are beautiful classrooms, okay, in terms of size with our kindergarten and our first grade classrooms. They are a comparable size, and they're really nice. You know, absolutely having all of the materials, all of the appropriate lighting, you know, all of the temperature control, everything is there that is in the regular classrooms that we have. I will tell you that among my staff, there are a couple individuals who have experience in mobile classrooms. And when they heard, oh, we're going to bring out mobile classrooms, they said, can I go? So they wanted to be in because they said they're gorgeous. I want to be in there. And quite frankly, and I think my staff would support that, our classrooms are really nice here. You know, to the citizens out there, don't think, oh, our classrooms, you know, maybe not the greatest. Our classrooms are beautiful. But here, as you can see, these are equally as nice. Now, when we take a look at the where and the movement of all of this, here you have a Google Map display of our school. If you look up to the top right, you can see the parking lot where many of you, if not all, park tonight. All right, so it gives you an idea in terms of the structure of the building and the layout. The front of the building facing Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, you can see the smaller box where in green, there are current 2 pre-K classrooms. The initial plan of phase 1 is, or excuse me, as we move into phase 2, I'm sorry, but I go back and forth a little, is for our current kindergarten wing, which is the largest wing in green, that would become our early childhood center. The kindergarten classrooms would then move to the first grade classrooms. And first grade would move to the mobile classrooms. The mobile classrooms are the red box out on our far western side of our school. There is a blacktop area. That is where the mobile classrooms will go. Now, the thought there is having pre-K very directly near the nurse's office, near the main office, keeping them in a general vicinity together, not far from where the school buses are either. So they would be near the front of the building. You can also see there's an orange circle behind the school. Actually, it would be right over there. We have 2 playground areas. On the east side, we have swings and also slides. On the west side, we have the swings and slides, and we also have what we refer to as the fort. It's the playground fort. In between those is a large grassy area. That's where the initial pre-K playground would go. Okay, here we have architectural design. I just showed you those wings. Now, the one that was in green is now at the bottom in red. Okay, that would be our early pre-K area, or early pre-K rooms. Then, moving up the slide, you would see where currently that is our first grade hall. That would become kindergarten. And then to the right of the slide, they are the mobile classrooms, and that is where first grade would go. This is phase 2, option 1. Also, behind the school, you can see where the outdoor play area is. From a mapping standpoint, that play area would actually be further back, but for slide purposes, it appears closer to the school than it is in actuality. It's part of our playground, it's still in the fenced area, and it's right in line with the fort and the slides. Phase 2, option 2. Again, there are options here. We have that phase 1 of the 4 classrooms, music and art rooms as they currently exist, turning into first grade rooms, and 2 of the classrooms in the kindergarten wing becoming pre-K rooms, and then 2 of the rooms in the first grade wing becoming first grade rooms. And then, with the aggressive timeline of September 26, at that point, first grade in its entirety would move to the mobile classrooms. The art teacher and the music teacher would, in effect, get their rooms back. So for the first part of the year, they would be doing push-in for related arts, but midway through, or when that phase 2 starts, they would then get their rooms back. Taking a look here, we now jump to phase 2, option 2. Phase 1, recall with me, pre-K in the front at the bottom slide, kindergarten, the next slide up, and then first grade goes to the right area. Now, option 2, well, what else can be done? Here, we would take our first grade, and instead of putting them into the mobile classrooms, they would go to the second grade wing, which, as I stand here right now, is right over there. So the area that you're sitting in and understand, so you can put it together, the current first grade hallway is right through that wall, right through that side. Kindergarten is up this way, second grade's over here. And now where would the second graders go? They would go into the mobile classrooms. Now it's critical for you to recognize that there are bathrooms in the mobile classrooms. All right, there are a couple different designs that we were looking at. There was one that had bathrooms in the classrooms themselves, which would be exact to what we have in kindergarten and first grade. There's another design that we were looking at that has bathrooms at the end of the hallways, so they're still out there. There's also office spaces that are in there as well. So in effect, they're a complete functional area. Now those office spaces, wondering, oh, okay, well, I guess that would be the director out there. Maybe not necessarily right away, because we also have, if we put grade 1 out there and grade 2, we need resource center space. That would be resource center space. So the children are not going back and forth, on their own volition. Now, would first grade come in here to eat their lunch? Absolutely they would. Would they come in here for phys ed? Of course. Okay, and they'd be escorted by their teachers no differently than they're escorted right now within the building. We don't just let kids go wherever they want. We escort them with the teachers, so they're still being escorted. Okay, so phase 2, option 2 is second grade goes into the mobile classrooms. All right, we jump ahead. Phase 3 now. Achieving full enrollment capacity of 360 students within a 5-year time frame, utilizing the current classrooms, mobile classrooms, and the appropriate private providers and their classrooms, that mixed delivery system. Now, Mr. Peters touched on the fact that outside providers are still required to meet state standards for this program. And as we go into the phases, it's like a cone. Phase 1, we have a pretty tight target here at the bottom of the cone. We have a good understanding there. As you go into phase 2 and the different options, phase 3 and the different options, the cone gets wider. So where I'm going with that, with the mixed delivery system, while we have not heard anything back from any of the providers we've reached out to, maybe they're looking at, well, what are the state requirements? Is it feasible? Do we meet them now? Do we not meet them? Would we or could we meet them? So this could start initially as a program here on site, but then if there are providers who decide, hey, let's put an addition on, or let's do this or that, that's for them to decide. But if they did, then it could turn into the use of the outside providers. But again, that's up to them and their facilities. Maintaining program success with assessments and refinements. And that's the other piece with this preschool. The state is very tight. It's their money. And we do know how the state can be with their money. and monitoring very closely to make sure that we're using it appropriately. So with that said, there are tight standards that we have to follow in terms of instructional time, in terms of the curriculum. They have those 4 that they let you choose from, you know, and there's been work done within the district, narrowing it down, looking at the pros and cons, even so much as timing how long it takes children to get to the playground and back, making sure, for lack of a better term, that there's not dawdling or wasted time. The state watches very, very closely to make sure that the program meets their standards. The chart we referred back to, okay, and again, I reiterate that with this funding, that the funding, well, funds everything of the program. You know, so when we talk about the additional required staffing, that's through the funding. Those that are involved in the program, while as the principal here, Mary F. Jambier, you know, I'm involved, I'm not the director, that's another person, but interestingly enough, because it's on site and because of my involvement, part of my salary will then be funded through the funding. So, an interesting piece on how that all rolls. We move to phase 3, option 1. Okay, enrollment's going up, but now we're also starting to go into what I call the land of what if. And this is a program where as that cone gets wider, you can turn this into what if, and it can spiral very quickly, as we've done in our meetings. So, with the what if of population, you know, of course we need the children to come. Well, what if they don't? Well, then option 3, or phase 3, could look a little differently. But if it does go to that full body of students, of 360 pre-K students, now we're talking about additional mobile classrooms over on the side of the school. Okay, we could have grade 1 out there. We could have grade 2 out there as well. Potentially kindergarten, depending on the size, on the what ifs. But again, the cone is wide on this. Now, there is a reversal on this that is very important. It was brought up earlier today, actually, by one of the programs that we did with the staff members. There were staff members who brought it up a concern, and very viable. We look out in the back, which is up towards the top of the slide, and you can see the outdoor area, and then beyond it is the mobile classroom. That should be reversed. Okay, the playground area for pre-K is further back, and the mobile classrooms are closer. Okay, please recognize also in terms of spacing that the mobile classrooms are close to the building, and the exit points of the main building already exist. With White Macadam on the side, it exists in terms of the sidewalk and the exit. It's already all there. And we're talking approximately 10 to 12 feet between the main body and between the mobile classrooms. I also have in my vision that we would have overhangs that would be built. So we don't want the children walking in rain and so forth. They're coming in here to go to gym, you know, and it's a downpour or a snow or a whatever. Okay, they go down the steps, they have a nice overhang, and they're walking right into the building. And again, it's very close. And again, they're being supervised by staff members. Behind the school, again, very close to the school, is where those mobile classrooms would be. This is not a let's put them far away type of thing by any means. So that's phase 3, option 1. Well, there has to be an option 2. And here, the option 2 is second grade moves to Main Road School. And Main Road School, for those of you familiar with the building, this would be on the eastern side of the building. There's currently a blacktop there. I believe that buses line up there. That is where second grade, the modular classrooms for second grade would go. Okay, so again, looking at the requirements, making sure that everything that's occurring is congruent with the standards of the funding according to the state, making sure size-wise everything is there, the playground, the outside physical play area, lunches. The preschool students would eat their lunches in the classroom. Also, preschool students do not receive related arts. And by related arts, I'm talking about formal phys ed, art, music, library, computers. Okay, now would those items be embedded within the curriculum that's chosen? Absolutely. Is there physical movement and activity? Yes, that's required. Okay, but directly, would our phys ed teacher be in here with preschool students giving 45 minutes of pre-K? No. Okay, they would not.
And lunch in the classroom is part of the program, it's standing style. It's part of the philosophy. It's not because we can't fit them in.
Right.
It's just part of the program. So kids, and you can also bring your lunch if you like, but it's a family style where kids socialize with the other students in the classroom.
Good point. Thank you, Mr. Betts. Okay, furniture-wise, I know Mr. Betts will talk a little bit more about that. And again, the last bullet, reiterating all funding comes from PEA and potential grants. So with that said, Mr. Betts or Mr. Peters, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kobick. So everything is predicated on funding. As we have mentioned, this additional aid, and this is state aid, okay? It's prescribed state aid where it is used for the preschool program, but it is state aid very similar to the existing state aid that we are very fortunate to receive each year. Out of 570 eligible districts in our state, over 50% have already taken advantage of receiving this state aid. This is paid for out of all the taxpayers here within our state. We're already paying in to this funding. It's time that we take advantage of receiving the money that we've already been putting out for many years. Over 59% of the kids, preschoolers within New Jersey, are part of this preschool expansion aid. There is a lot that is funded here. Mr. Kobick talked about how not just the direct funding of the preschool director, the classroom teachers, the instructional assistants, your PERS, the PIC, which is the preschool instructional coach, the additional nurse, the modular classrooms, the curriculum, the resources for instruction, the furniture, all that's completely funded here within this. We will also, as Mr. Kobick said, will be able to prorate funding for Mr. Kobick's position as the principal of this school, the superintendent's position, the business administrator's position. So basically any other district-wide entity that has connection with preschool will be able to offset and prorate funding for their particular position. Also including the electric bill for this particular school. We'll be able to prorate based off the number of students for the preschool program in order to put that towards the state aid. That then provides our district with some additional money that goes into the general revenue account that we're able to work with in order to benefit other areas of the school district. So a lot of monetary benefits with this particular additional state aid. I'm sure the question is, well, what happens if that stops? Well, obviously we're hopeful that that doesn't occur, but let's say we're 3 years into this and all of a sudden something happens in Trenton and the funding stops. Well, the Board of Education would have to make a pretty difficult decision. Do we continue with preschool and fully fund it from the local levy? Do we continue with preschool but charge tuition to some extent to offset the costs? Or do we go back to what we currently have as the part-time or half-day preschool program? So that would be ultimately the Board of Education's decision. However, everything that we have acquired physically, the mobile classrooms, the curriculum resources, all the professional learning, the furniture, all of that, we will be able to keep including the new playground or playgrounds that we'll be able to furnish directly for the preschool program. So we'll be able to keep everything that's here already in our schools. That's something that will be invaluable for years to come if that unfortunate circumstance did arise. Mr. Betts?
Yes, so in conclusion, on a line with state and national priorities for early childhood, Ted talks about the importance of early childhood education, ensuring equitable access to high-quality education through a phased implementation approach. Hopefully we explain not all the nuts and bolts, there's a lot that goes into that, but how we're proposing that happen here in Franklin County.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I think we're good. Thank you, guys. So if you have any questions, I'm sure the board has questions, you can direct them to me, email, call me. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. And like I said, and as you can see, it's a big change, but it's a very good change for kids, and that's why we're here. We're a kid business to offer the very best educational program we possibly can do. And this program falls right in line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Betts. Peter, good. Sure there's going to be board member questions, and I'll straight too far.